Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Starship Command Orion Spur. So I saw this game advertised on Facebook, and I was very intrigued by it because based on the screenshots that I saw and the video that I saw, it reminded me a lot of Starfleet Command, which was a game that I played way back when. It doesn't work on my computer anymore, unfortunately. I tried the GOG one, it didn't work. Anyway, Starship Command Orion Spur. I reached out to these folks, and Daniel Gibbs, who is the project leader, program manager, writer, and he jokes, trash wrangler, reached out to me as well and said, thanks for your email, and then proceeded to answer a bunch of questions that I had. So I decided to sort of compile all of this information into a rough Q&A. Keep in mind, I had to compile this Q&A. The wording and the responses may not exactly tie in with what I asked, but it seemed to make sense to use this format. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some footage that the developer shared with me, and this is not something that you would normally see on their website or anything like that. This is kind of like private footage used for content creators and the like. So I'm going to show you that footage and also read off to you some of the information that was shared with me, and then that way you can decide whether or not you want to support the game. I included links in the below. There's a link to the website and to the Kickstarter. And if you're interested in supporting this game, then by all means, check it out. So first and foremost, I asked, well, what exactly is Starship Command Orion Spur? And Daniel Gibbs replies, this game can be best described as a spiritual successor to the Bridge Commander style of game, set in the Terran Diaspora universe from military science fiction author Daniel Gibbs, who is the same person providing me this information. Yeah, apparently he wrote a lot of books. You will command an Ajax-class destroyer, the CSV Leonidas, in a high-stakes campaign where you're the only one of a few ships left to defend the Orion Spur. You're outnumbered, outgunned, and the last line of defense. So then I asked him his role in making this game as well as his background, and he responded with pretty lengthy description. And to highlight it, he pretty much said, I am a former U.S. Department of Defense program manager. I worked for various defense contractors for almost 2 decades. As a result, I really understand how to manage cost, schedule, and performance. I am the keeper of the scope for the project, and I'm merciless in making sure we adhere to the scope and don't allow scope creep to, creep in. It's the death of any software development project, and especially an indie game that's self-funded by an indie author. I am the designer of this game, not the developer, that's Dustin, but I also wrote 50 novels in this universe, and am self-funding the demo to make this a reality. So then I asked about co-op and multiplayer, and the response I got was, the demo will be solely single player, and the base game is solely single player. Depending on the Kickstarter stretch goals and just how much that blows up, if we're so lucky that it does, there are plans for a multiplayer mode, but it would be a versus, not co-op. The campaign is not going to be open world, it will be mission based, and there will be optional missions that pop up from time to time. You don't have to take them, but they add flavor, backstory, and etc. And a familiar refrain, that model is likely to grow in complexity depending on which Kickstarter stretch goals we hit. Now at this point, I'm like reminiscing over games like Freelancer, the ability to buy ships, upgrade ships, and the like. So I asked him, can you buy other ships or upgrade your starting ship like in Freelancer? And he replied, you can't buy better ships or upgrade them or modify them in the campaign or skirmish. Right now, for the base campaign, you'd be in the Leonidas the entire campaign. That could change depending on Kickstarter stretch goals. I don't want to talk too much about it, except that I have some fun ideas, but they need some money in funding in order to complete. So then I got to thinking about games like Star Trek Bridge Commander and Starfleet Academy and Klingon Academy and even the Star Wars X-Wing versus TIE Fighter games, the ability to set up skirmish matches and you can be almost any ship. So I'm like, well, can you play other ships in skirmish mode? And he responded, yes. In skirmish mode, you will be able to fly any ship in the game, regardless of size, faction, and compose a fleet to your heart's desire with allies and enemies. We had 25 ships going easily in some testing last night. So then I asked him what combat was going to be like. And I'm going to paraphrase him here because I think you guys can clearly see what's going on based on the footage that you've seen so far. There's going to be both a 3D view where you take direct control of your ship, but there's also a bridge command mode where you can issue orders and delegate. And I'm going to go off track a little bit and direct you to the interface. You can see in the upper right, there's the ability to adjust power distribution. There's reactor load, engine, shield, weapons. I don't know how in-depth that is. I haven't played the game yet, but it looks like that's possible. And then on the bottom right, you've got, looks like a blue border around your ship, which may be shields, as well as a green border, which may be armor or health. Again, I'm not sure. Haven't played it. In the bottom middle, it looks like there's 3 different types of weapons, and it looks like there's an overcharge for the beam weapon, and possibly an overheat meter right above that. Bottom left, you've got like a radar, and on the upper left, you've got your targets. So it seems like pretty much everything is laid out for you already, which is really good. So then I got to thinking about Starfleet Academy. I could turn to various stations, I could talk to the crew, and I'm like, okay, is there going to be NPC interaction? And according to him, the player will be able to walk around the ship and interact with the crew and officers. Some of this is to advance the plot. Some is between missions where you explore the cost of war among the crew. Now, I recently covered another space science fiction game called Star Trek Across the Unknown, just the demo, mind you. And one of the concerns I had with that game was that they didn't get any of the voice actors to come back and voice the lines. Everything was text. So I did ask, because it was fresh in my head, will there be dialogue in this game? Will there be text or voice? Or, what format is the dialogue going to, represent itself? And he replied, the voice recordings were made last week by our actors and actresses, so that'll be coming soon for a great deal more immersion, both in the campaign and in Skirmish. We have literally 500 plus chatter lines for the bridge crew to report to you during the game. Now, the developer hinted at there being a demo, so I was curious, what other features will there be in the demo? What will that comprise of? And he simply responded, in the demo, we're planning to release soon. Deck 1 is fully modeled, which includes the bridge, conference room, captain's day cabin, and the grav lift. In our campaign demo, you'll have a classic conference room scene where officers present the situation to you and you make decisions. It's a sci-fi staple and one of my favorite types of scenes. Lastly, I asked, where can people learn more about the game? And he responded, well, the demo and Kickstarter are coming soon. We're a very small team of 4 people, but we're passionate and this is our dream project. You can learn more about the game at these websites. So I put links in the below description for you. There's a link to their official website, starshipcommandgame.com, and then their Kickstarter preview page. The Kickstarter isn't live yet, but it will be launching soon. So if you're interested in supporting this game, and again, the number of features that will be present in this game will be largely dependent on how much support they get in the Kickstarter. So definitely check out the Kickstarter page if you want to learn more and possibly support them. So that ought about do it for the Q&A portion of it. Daniel was also kind enough to give me permission to show off the command briefing video that he had created. So you're about to watch that, and then I'll just end the video. So special thanks to Daniel for answering all of my questions. And like I said, if you're interested in checking out this game, feel free to look at the links in the below description. And of course, like and subscribe to my channel. That way I can, keep making these videos and keeping you guys informed of what's coming up. This is Vince. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Take care.
Hello, I'm Daniel Gibbs, best-selling military science fiction author and designer and producer of Starship Command, Orion Spur. If you've ever read or watched science fiction stories about starships and the vastness of the cosmos and thought, I want to be the captain making those decisions, then this is the video for you. Because after years of writing about Starship Commanders in my Terran Diaspora novels, I decided it was time for you to sit in the big chair. I've been a lifelong gamer, and from some of my earliest memories, I've wanted a game where I commanded the ship, and yet that goal has been quite elusive. There's been a couple along the way that I wore the CD-ROMs out playing, and I know many of you have as well. But it's been decades since there was any game that's done the concept of sitting in the big chair, interacting with your bridge crew, and also giving you the flexibility to fly your ship in the times it really counts. I wanted to command a real capital ship, not a fighter or a corvette, but an actual starship with a bridge crew that responds to my orders. I wanted tactical depth where every decision matters. I wanted to feel the weight of command when my choices determine whether my crew lives or dies. But that hasn't happened in a long time. There's been a couple that tried, but are either still in development or didn't quite deliver on the vision I wanted to see. And so, after publishing a few dozen novels, I decided to make a game that delivered on putting the player in command. That's how Starship Command Orion Spur was born. Ever since I started writing the Terran Diaspora universe, at the back of my head I had the idea that someday I would take it to other mediums. About 2 years ago, that started coming together with the beginnings of the incredible team that's working on this project now. We're lean and mean, but I believe we punch well above our weight, and if you follow the development of FCOS, I think you'll come to agree. In Starship Command Orion Spur, you command the CSV Leonidas, an Ajax-class destroyer in the Coalition Defense Force. You've got a full bridge crew that ranges from your XO, Rashid Omar, to Tactical Action Officer Catherine Parker, Navigator Joseph Nanati, and 7 other officers who each have distinctive personalities and expertise, all led by you. These aren't just pretty faces giving status updates. They're fully realized characters who react to your decisions, offer advice, and execute your orders competently. When you tell Lieutenant Parker to fire the neutron beams, she handles the targeting solutions. In a jam, ask your XO for help, and he'll provide life-saving advice. But here's what makes us different. You can seamlessly switch between commanding from the bridge to take direct control of your ship. Sometimes you need or want to delegate. Sometimes you need to take the helm yourself when plasma fire is lighting up your shields on every side. The combat in SCOS isn't just about clicking targets and watching pretty explosions. Every system on your ship is interconnected. Push your neutron beams too hard and they'll overheat, damaging them and the Leonidas. Up against a heavy cruiser, you'll want to use different mag cannon ammo types to effectively cripple the enemy before delivering the final blow. Divert power to your shields during an enemy barrage. But remember, that power has to come from somewhere. Where will you take it from? Engines? Weapons? Both? If you use a full salvo of Starbolt missiles to take down a stubborn foe, remember, you've only got what's left in the ammo magazines, and resupply is difficult in the Orion Spur. These are the decisions real Starship captains would face, and they're the decisions that make every engagement feel authentic and consequential. Between missions, you explore the Leonidas, interact with your crew, and see how the stress of combat affects everyone aboard. This isn't just a warfare simulator, it's a complete command experience. There are also plenty of non-combat gameplay opportunities, and there will be times where there's more than one way to solve a problem. Are you the kind of commanding officer that rushes in, neutron beams and mag cannons flashing, or do you take a step back and examine the full picture first? The choice is yours. All of this takes place in the Terran Diaspora universe during the same time period as my Iron Fleet novels. The Coalition Defense Force is fighting to protect innocent civilians from the League of Soul and their terrorist sympathizers. You're not just shooting at random enemies. You're part of a larger conflict with real stakes. A war that asks you to consider how far you would go. Every mission, every character, every piece of dialogue serves this narrative. SCOS is military science fiction with the depth and authenticity I try to bring to my novels. Look, I know how this sounds. Another space game promising the ultimate command experience. I get it because I've been disappointed before too. That's exactly why we are building a fully playable demo before asking anyone to support us. Not only that, but what we've built is the code base of the finished game. No cheap tricks or shortcuts taken. What the team is putting together was designed from the ground up to be the finished product. We're not asking you to believe in promises. We're asking you to judge us by what we deliver. Our demo will include both skirmish combat and a 30-minute preview of the single-player campaign. As a former Department of Defense program manager and someone who's successfully delivered on 4 previous Kickstarters, I understand the importance of managing expectations and delivering on promises. Your crew is waiting, Commander. The CSV Leonidas is ready for your orders. The question is, are you ready to take command? Subscribe for development updates, our weekly newsletter, and join our community. The Orion Spur needs commanders like you. And don't forget, our Kickstarter is coming soon. Make sure you sign up to get notifications today.